So welcome to the desk of the Executive Director at Back Bay Mission. I am James Pennington, and I am here with Felix Carrion, who is from Texas, and is one of our, I guess you're our newest board member today.
Yes, I believe so.
This is your first board meeting.
This is the first board meeting.
Yeah.
My first board meeting.
Yeah, so part of our board of directors, and Felix is an individual who I just think brings so much to the United Church of Christ. And honestly, your stories, I asked him right away, and this is probably going to go out on Monday or a week from Monday, right? We were eating lunch and kind of got into a conversation about what's kind of happening in Los Angeles with the Latinx and black population, and kind of a bit about oppression wars and whatnot. And so he's somebody that I love to kind of bounce thoughts off of. And I think that was kind of our first heavy conversation since you've been here. But Felix, I just want you to share a little bit about maybe why you said yes to the board of directors. Okay. You're a pastor in Texas at a congregation, and what's the town again?
Rosenberg,
that's right.
Rosenberg, south of Houston.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And really excited to have you on the board. So what really propelled you or encouraged you to be on the board of directors with Back Bay?
Well, we have somewhat of a new conference minister. His name is Reverend Phil Hodson. And we have been to lunch.
He is a wild guy. He is a good conference minister.
He's a good guy.
Good ideas, good vision.
Good idea, yes. And he invited me to lunch a couple of times. And I know he's a part of Back Bay Mission because Back Bay Mission is a part of the South Central Conference. And he asked me, would I be willing to serve on the board of Back Bay Mission? And I said, let me pray about it. Let me think about it. Let me pray about it. And I did, and I came back to him and I said, yes. I said yes because I served in the national setting of the United Church of Christ a total of 15 years, 10, then I went away for like 4, and I came back to serve as the director of the God is Still Speaking ministry of the United Church of Christ. And wherever I went, as a national person, as a national staff of the United Church of Christ, throughout those years, I always heard about Back Bay Mission at the annual meetings, General Synod, and I'm speaking about annual meetings across the country. Back Bay Mission always had a presence at these annual meetings, always had a presence at General Synod. So the credibility, the integrity and the credibility of Back Bay Mission was something that I knew about. And that was one of the reasons why I said yes, because I knew I was signing on to an organization that had that kind of integrity, that had that kind of commitment, that had that kind of reputation, that had that kind of mission that the United Church was all about, grounded in the scriptures, grounded in sound theology, grounded in the ministry of Jesus Christ to the poor, to the most needy. And so I said I would want to be a part of an organization, a mission like that.
Wow, that's beautiful. It's always for me as a newish executive director, I guess, to hear those words, because it's a 100-year-old organization that started working with immigrants and migrants who were most needy here on the coast of Mississippi. Yeah, I think that's a beautiful story. And today you've had some time, because you got here yesterday.
Right. And
you're staying actually in our long-term guest house. And you had some time today to hear from a few of the staff. We didn't get through everybody. I knew I was trying to push too much in. But what's your impression of some of the staff that you met today?
My impression is that they are totally and fully committed to what they do here.
Sometimes we think we should be committed, but yes, for the work we do, but fully committed to the work.
Right, they're fully committed to the work. Their level of commitment is really very impressive, and the way they talk about their ministry, the way they talk about their mission and their assignment, it is filled with that kind of clear commitment, clarity of what they're doing, even if it's complex, even if they have to wear several hats. They are happy and thankful to be here. The other thing that impresses me is the level of partnership. Everyone really has high respect for each other. Everyone has high respect for what the other person is doing, and they want to support each other. They want to be a good partner with that other person. So that really has impressed me strongly, and And your commitment, James, which you spoke to earlier today before we went out to meet to the staff, that you are bringing this educational component to Back Bay Mission, meaning when the volunteers come through here, you want them not only to volunteer, but you want them to hear about the poverty. You want them to know what's happening locally, the greater region, nationally, and the reason why they're here. So there's that educational component that you're bringing to, which I value, because they need to not just be here volunteering in a vacuum. And then today I was really impressed with the way the board meeting started. So we started at 9 o'clock, but we really started at 9 o'clock saying, okay, soon we're going to go meet the staff.
Yeah.
And I said to you that that's also part of the educational commitment, so that we are educated, we are informed about the people who work for Back Bay Mission. And for me, that's really very important, because it speaks to the heart of cooperation, it speaks to the heart of coordination, it speaks to the heart of being one in mission, one in Christ, one in the mission of Christ in the world.
Yeah. Well, and I think to me, it really is such a gift when board members come here, and we've never really kind of done this deep dive. Well, I haven't been here that long, right? But I've told they haven't done that in the past, this deeper dive with the staff, right? But I think it's encouraging for board members to be here, because you encourage the staff, because this day in and day out work of working in poverty and unsheltered folks can be taxing.
Right.
And so you give us encouragement by being here. But then our volunteers that I value so much, I found the volunteer program to be just fantastic, because they also encourage us in the work we do. And they get to come down and spend a week or 2 weeks here to be a part of this, right? And it's for them, it can be really life-changing. It can change your perspective. Right. It can change your outlook. What we found with many of our volunteers is they come here, they get kind of engulfed in this work, right? And they see poverty in the neighborhoods we work in, and they see people that are unsheltered here, and they come down thinking, oh, we don't have any unsheltered people. They go back to their hometown, they're like, they see the poverty,
exactly.
They see the unsheltered.
Exactly.
They start to notice, right? Because that's what it means to be human and divine, is to see the other.
Right.
And to hear the other, and to be present with the other, right? And just simply sometimes to be a presence, look in somebody's eyes that's homeless or living in poverty, and acknowledge their fellow humanity and divinity, because we're all divine, and we're all human.
Right.
So
that presence is critical, because in the word presence is the idea that we're present to each other.
Yeah.
That we're present to one another, that we're fully present, fully engaged in listening to one another, in raising questions, fully present to the dialogue, the conversation, and fully present to being willing to learn about poverty, about destitution, about the reasons why people end up the way they end up. Just recently, I mean, just like about 30 minutes ago, I was thinking about the work that you all are doing here. And I was thinking about how when Jesus says, you know, I've been anointed to preach the good news to the poor in that text is the destitute. Is not just the poor scraping by, you know, not that he didn't have a ministry to them, but when Jesus says, I've been anointed to proclaim the good news to the poor, he's talking about the destitute, the person on the street, the person who has practically no means of survival. And Back Bay Mission is about ministering to those folks who are either already destitute, completely broken in different ways, or right on the edge of falling into that category. So you are really fulfilling the mission of Jesus Christ to the poor. You guys have been anointed in that kind of anointment to proclaim good news. And it's good news when you appear and are present to those who are destitute, who have been left alone.
That's beautiful. And you had an opportunity to see that at the Micah Day Center today too, right? To walk in and see a room of people that are destitute, but what the staff there doing, our director of client services was cleaning showers, right? So willing to pitch in is what you see there. Is you see these are people that are destitute, but at least for a few hours a day, they have some humanity.
Yes.
And they get a shower,
Yes.
and they feel clean, and they get a new set of clothes,
Yes.
and they get a meal, you know, and they get recognized for being a human being that is loved and valued and appreciated.
Exactly.
And then they go back out on the streets, you know, but at least for that moment, we're being the hands and feet of Jesus.
Right. You're helping to provide transformation.
Yeah.
An inner transformation that inspires hope, inspires love, inspires someone cares for me. And that outer transformation that eventually a good number of these folks, with the help of you all and other organizations, start to come out, start to be lifted up.
Yep.
And that's the mission here.
Start to get there, to move on their journey to self-sufficiency and to stability, right? And to being, to being what we see in our lives as being a contributing citizen, right?
Exactly.
Even though they're still contributing, because they're present, they're here,
Right.
and they're in community.
Right.
It's a different community than we experience, but well, I appreciate your time today and you sharing. And one of the things I want to give a nod to you, because you worked with the Still Speaking campaign. God is still speaking. Don't put a period where God puts a comma, right?
Right.
Is that one of the things we've started to do is on our sign-offs is we'll say God is still speaking through Back Bay Mission on the coast of Mississippi.
Amen.
And so we really are living into that, because we got that. You probably saw the red comma out there near our rose bush that was planted last year. Yeah, that's very much a part of who we are.
That's wonderful, James.
Yeah. So thank you, Felix, for your time, for your energy, for saying yes to be on the board.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Glad to be here. Glad to be a
Awesome.
part of the board.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for this conversation today. Continue to support Back Bay and be part of the change you want to see in the world. Thanks.